It's powerful, and it just spoke to me, man. I'm rocking with it.
It looked good on you.
I appreciate that, D-Way.
Today's opening tip, D. Wade says the number 50 looks good on Aaron Gordon. Of course, the joke there is that despite all those 50s in the dunk contest, Aaron has never won it, in part thanks to a lower score from D. Wade. Richard, as an expert troller yourself, how do you rate that exchange on both sides?
I know, right? I actually respect that because, look, things happen, but D. Wade and Aaron Gordon both took it in stride.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it.
Didn't Aaron do a rap song about at one point?
It was some real beef for a second.
Right?
Yeah, he was hot.
I feel like Aaron Gordon's been robbed 2 times, to be honest with you.
So does he.
Yeah,
There you go. It's nice to see them, as usual, 2 professionals. Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols, joined by another couple of professionals. They're NBA champs, Richard Jefferson and Matt Barnes. Nice to see you here, friends. Coming up, we're going to be talking with Kings guard De'Aaron Fox. He joins the show to discuss his recent hot stretch, the Kings fighting for a spot in the play-in tourney, and his on-court chemistry with rookie Tyrese Halliburton. So stick around for that. First, though, Rajon Rondo, a 2-time champ, was a major part of the Lakers' run to the title last season in the bubble, and now he's back in Los Angeles, this time as a Clipper. I sat down with Rajon to ask about how he thinks he'll fit in with his new team, what surprised him most about Kawhi Leonard so far, and just how far he thinks the Clippers can go. Take a listen.
One of the best things that could have possibly happened for the Clippers just happened.
They need vocal leadership on this team. That's what Rondo brings.
Rondo is going to take control and bring them together. He's that glue that they need.
Welcome back to Los Angeles. How do you see yourself fitting in on this Clippers team?
I just want to come in and do what I do best and try to lead by example, do all the intangibles on the court, be the extension of T. Lue while I'm out there and help each player get better.
There was such a fun moment the night that you were traded. One of the younger guys on the team, Terrence Mann, whips out your rookie card.
Somebody gave it to me, and then I had made the A team for my travel team. And I was like, man, it got to be because of this card. So I kept the card in my wallet ever since. It's like good luck charm.
The fact that there's a player in the league who's been carrying around your rookie card since middle school is inspiration. Are you old now? Is that what this means?
You know what's crazy? My daughter sent me a TikTok of it, and I was like, what do you think? She was like, you're old. And I was like, yeah. It's about that time that I realized how old I am, and I'm one of the oldest in the game as of now. So.
It's no secret they brought you in to help organize the offense, especially in clutch time, to work with Kawhi and Paul George. Why do you think you're going to be a good fit there?
I've been doing it my whole life. I think what I pride myself on is making first ballot Hall of Famers' job a lot easier.
You've been on all-star teams with Kawhi Leonard, but how is actually being on the same team different?
Kawhi's, his passing ability is unreal. I didn't expect him to be such a great passer and a willing passer. And I said something to him yesterday, and he looked at me like, I got it all. And I was like, oh, okay, my fault. So, it was just funny, kind of understanding that, he is who he is, and seeing him up close in person, I appreciate his game even more.
Ty Lue wasn't just an assistant coach during your 2008 championship run with the Celtics. He was the coach who specifically worked with you the most. In fact, then head coach Doc Rivers called him the Rondo Whisperer. What is the relationship between the two of you like?
It's fun. I've never played for a coach where, I've actually played with them or, in the sense in the NBA games or even, been that close to assistant coach. So me and Lou go way back. About 10 years ago, he actually let me stay in his house in Vegas. So our relationship has always been tight. He's been a guy that's been always genuine, always been honest with me. Even if we're playing cards or gambling. I mean, it's just, this type of guy he is, a great person.
We want what's best for Huz, and what's best for him is the ability to choose where he goes next.
You are really close with Boogie Cousins. You guys played together in Sacramento and New Orleans. What do you think of what he's got left after seeing him play in Houston?
I think he has a lot left, and I know he has a lot to prove to himself, the league, and he probably wants to prove as many people as wrong as I do for him. I'm hoping for the best. He's one of my dear friends. I was in his wedding this past summer, and I wish him all the best. He's had a tough road to get back to this point where he is.
So let's talk Lakers-Clippers. There's been an edginess between the two teams, certainly since Kawhi and Paul George came to town. You, of course, experienced that from the Lakers side last year. What is it like to flip to the Clippers side now?
It's different. It is a rivalry here in Los Angeles, but for the most part, I've been getting a bunch of, just welcome backs. It's different coming back to LA being a champion, so it hasn't been as brutal as you would think as far as going back from LA to Clippers rivalry, because Laker fans are still on the high horse as far as a championship ring this past summer. So I'm just looking forward to the competition, getting to learn my teammates as much as possible and competing.
It's funny, we have this Sunday game on ABC, Lakers-Clippers, and even without LeBron or Anthony Davis, you got a lot of spicy matchups there between former teammates on both sides. What do you think that game is going to be like?
It'll be intense. You have competitive guys that were here last year, vice versa, and it'll be an interesting game. Two great coaches, two great minds going at each other, and two great teams.
It's going to be a little fun for you because you know those guys so well?
It'll be a lot of fun for me. Anytime I get to see my old teammates, old coaching staff, it's all love and fun and competition.
What do you think is the ceiling for this Clippers group?
Championship. That's it.
You see that?
It's pretty much, what I love is, having that pressure is to see the championship or bust. They've been in the playoffs, but this franchise hasn't won, and that is something I'm looking forward to doing. Proving a lot of doubters wrong and going against all odds.
Thank you so much to Rajon for taking the time to chat. As we know, look, he's in a Lakers uniform in this graphic because that's how unusual it is to switch from one to the other. And the Lakers, of course, play the Clippers on Sunday. He is hoping to suit up for that game. And look at his numbers across the board. Up in the playoffs. Playoff Rondo is real. Now let's move on to one of his new teammates, Paul George. He returned yesterday after missing 2 games with what was listed as right foot soreness. When asked if the injury would be a long-term issue, here is what PG said. Quote, "It's a day-to-day process, but I'm doing better. We are trying to figure it out now. Honestly, we're trying to get on top of it now. Hasn't seemed to go away yet. But at this point, it is just managing the soreness and the swelling." So this was an injury that he was dealing with before. He came back into the lineup, then had more problems with it. Richard, how concerned are you about this going forward?
Well, it's more about once you start getting into that really grimy part of the postseason, because with your toe, and Matt can speak on this a little bit more, it's elevation, it's takeoff. Like even when he missed that layup, last night, it was like, did he not want to plant and take off and do those things? Those little bitty hesitations can cause, all sorts of problems. And then other things, hips, backs, because you start running funny.
Right?
Yeah. Toes are bad. I had a toe situation starting in high school, went all the way through my college and NBA career. So I have orthotics that had metal plates in them, so they just rocked. And my toe still to this day doesn't bend. So toes get bad, and the worst thing to do is jam it or when it flares up, because there's nothing you can really do about it. So, I know there's guys out there in the NBA dealing with this now. I know Shaq had a problem like this when he played. Toes are no joke. So they're really, like he said, a day-by-day process. Some days it feels good. You can stub it, and you can, set yourself back a week or two.
Right. And look, this is a team that dealt with injury after injury last season that eventually had an effect on their chemistry, their cohesiveness. Are we worried about that with this group this year?
I'm worried about it from this point, and this is why I'm glad they got Rondo. When you look at Kawhi's success, when he got to San Antonio, there was already a culture that was there and established. And then he went to Toronto, and there was a culture that was already established. Now he's in the Clippers, and yes, Doc Rivers had done some things, but they hadn't had that final tier. And so they looked to him to be a guy that could finish that culture, and he just wasn't there yet. And so adding Rondo, I think, is a big piece of the type of culture that you need to go and win a championship.
I think the Rondo pickup was a huge pickup. Obviously, his health is most important. They're going to need him on the court, but he's someone that can definitely run that team. And I think Kawhi and Paul realize that too. He's going, like you said, he's going to make Hall of Famers' jobs easier, and that's what he's brought in for. But they really addressed their issue. And what I like with Beverly's absence is it allowed Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson is a really good player, and he's been playing well with the extended minutes. So I'm excited for this Clipper team. Stemming health, I think Paul's going to have to tough that toe out. It's probably not going to get, obviously, 100% coming into the season, but he's just going to have to keep toughing it out. But I love their opportunity now. I agree the sky is the limit for the Clippers this season.
And you guys know, players around the league, especially when it comes to vets, you know who the real ones are. Right. Everyone knows what Rondo is and what he brings to the table. And by the way, he's got a ring from the 2 most storied franchises in the sport. So I think that even with guys on the Kawhi or PG level, everyone knows that respect that he comes with. Coming up, We're going to talk a little bit about Kevin Durant. Obviously made some comments going on direct.
What I miss?
We will discuss. Made some direct messages that included threats. We know anyone who was on that team?
Hey, RJ used to be a high flyer, man. You guys may want to act funny with them now, but RJ a lot of people.
That's it?
Let's be honest. People acted funny with RJ back then, too.
Yeah, they did. They didn't care. They don't care about me. Look at that.
It's a make or miss league.
Make. Miss.
It's a make or miss league.
Thank you, Zion. Make denials. Aaron Gordon's game was on full display last night. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. Matt, is this fit in Denver even better than we thought it would be?
Great pickup, and he has a defensive mindset now. And I think if they're able to keep him and Michael Porter together with that core on the wings, two-way threats, Denver's going to be scary for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look, Porter only has to be an okay defender as long as Aaron Gordon takes up this type of defense. And now, all of a sudden, they're like this crazy 1-2 punch on the wing that could be a problem.
Starting lineups in the game.
Yeah.
And look, there's other big contenders in the West. Some of them are going strong, but some of them not so much with the injuries. All right, Miss Logic. Check out this move by Kyrie and then the smooth floater with it is technically his offhand, but Kyrie Irving has no offhand, people.
And he's arguably the most skilled point guard, but maybe player we've ever seen.
Okay, so Rod Strickland, who is obviously biased, it's his godfather, made that case. He said he is the most skilled player he has ever seen.
I would definitely agree.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it is his handle, then his ability to finish through contact, and he can
Everything
post up
around the
smaller
basket.
players.
And you also realize, and Richkin, when you get older, you just start killing him with your mind too. He's already got it in his game, but now he's doing the little Kobe. Like you just see a lot of Kobe in
Slows
him.
down.
I love
He's
it. Yeah,
slowed
the game is
down.
slowed way down. Like there's nothing you can do with him.
And that's why he's become so much more efficient. Like his efficiency numbers the last couple years have been through the roof.
Yeah, year 10, man. He's learned a thing or two in that decade.
The 3 hardest guys in the league to guard on the same team.
And there you go. Make transition. Sixers, Cavs.
Crazy.
Dwight Howard, who had a monster game. Little big block. Then Matisse Thybulle finishes on the other end. Matt,
Okay, Matisse.
this has all been, this whole stretch has been without Joel Embiid. How do you feel about the Sixers? I don't want to say supporting cast with Ben Simmons still there, but
this is very valuable, especially leading into the playoffs. Obviously, Embiid's health is the key to this team making a run. But when you get guys that aren't going to get as many minutes or as many quality touches and quality minutes heading into the playoff, it's only going to help this team.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and one of the things that they talked about Joel Embiid is just, look, when he comes back, they want him to stay back.
Right.
So when your team is playing this well, take your time.
Yep.
Get your rest. Same with, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis.
You've
all those
met
guys.
Joel before, though.
Take your time. I know.
Every day. When can I come back? When can I come
he's
back?
fighting for an MVP, too.
Miss breathing room. First half, Steph puts a flurry of moves on Bam Adebayo before hitting the 3. But second half, with the game on the line here, switch over, check out Bam.
Look, I swear to you, I did this game last night, and when I saw this, it literally looked like Kevin Love out there trying to chase around Bam. But this was so crazy. But watch, it's almost the exact same shot that Steph ends up forcing. He gets rid of the ball and then gets it back. But it's the same type of shot, and that's what makes Bam so valuable. When the greatest shooter we've ever seen, if you're able to force him into that type of shot late game, that's why Bam is special. Bam is different.
I mean, you expect Steph to make shots when you're able to stop him from doing that, and you're a big, very impressive.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, I will say, even the way he took that shot off balance, off angle
like
with Bam in his face, I was like, that could easily go in.
I'm still betting on Steph.
Because it's Steph Curry, but obviously Bam made it too hard for him. There you go. All right, I want to move on to 2-time Finals MVP Kevin Durant. Part of his first public comments since injuring his hamstring in February. He also addressed a feud with actor and comedian Michael Rappaport that was made public by Rappaport this week. Rappaport posted private messages he said Durant had sent him, including some language that was threatening, some slurs. Here's Durant yesterday. Take a listen.
What's your response to the reaction to the social media messages that were made public on social media?
I'm sorry that people seen the language I use. That's not really what I want people to see and hear from me. But hopefully I can move past it and get back out on the floor.
All right. In addition to that, Nets coach Steve Nash said the organization had a conversation with Durant about the language. Matt, what's your reaction?
This really bothers me. And I actually had a conversation with Michael Rappaport because he's a friend, and obviously KD is a brother of mine. So to me, you don't poke a bear and then when he reacts, expose it to the world. If this was a conversation that was had on social media, it should have stayed there. don't expose it.
And by the way, it's private on social media.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? So to me, you're exposing a conversation. Granted, things were said that probably shouldn't have been said, and I'm sure, Kevin, is sorry about that. But at the same time, people always want to talk about how sensitive KD is, but if no one understands but him how hard it is to have the world always coming at you. And I'm not mad that he fights back. You know what I mean? You can say what you want about him fighting back. I'm not mad. I fight back still, and I'm not even on his level. So when you try to poke a bear and get a response, for you to expose that to the world, I just didn't agree with that. And what I'm saying now, I told to Mike Rappaport as well. Like, to me, keep that private. If you want me to hook both of you guys up so you can get on a call and try to fix it, but don't expose this to the world.
Well, and look, Rappaport is one of those individuals that is known for poking bears.
Right.
Like, that's who he is. That's how he makes his living. That's part of, like,
I'm not even mad at the hustle.
You're not mad at the hustle. If that's what he has said things to me personally that I was like, okay, so these are one of the things that you would like to personally address. You would never say these things to my face. Right. But my point is that Rappaport, if you're going to be that type of individual and then someone confronts you privately, regardless of what they're saying, and his remarks were just, inappropriate. But, like, yes, you should not air that out to the public, because all of a sudden, all the trust that Rappaport is getting, like you said, you've worked with him. He's worked with the G League. Yeah. He's worked with a ton of people, and he has that respect. You start to lose that respect.
Absolutely.
Especially when you go at one of the stars and studs in our league, and that doesn't excuse Kevin Durant for his language, and I'm glad that he apologized and addressed it.
I thought his comments were totally, I appreciated what he said, and I think we will all move on now from here. I want to move on to this. This is really huge. ESPN baseball reporter Jeff Passan tweeting, quote, "Huge news. Major League Baseball announces it will be moving the All-Star game from Atlanta in response to the new voting laws passed by Georgia." Major League Baseball released this statement, quote, "Over the last week, we have engaged in thoughtful conversations with clubs, former and current players, the Players Association, the Players Alliance, among others, to listen to their views. I have decided the best way to demonstrate our values as a sport is by relocating this year's All-Star game and the draft. Major League Baseball fundamentally supports voting rights for all Americans and opposes restrictions at the ballot box." Matt, you have been so heavily involved in the past year in the initiative to get people out to vote, and then fighting against people trying to take away American citizens' rights to participate in democracy, which, make no mistake, that is what has been going on here.
Insane. But this is big to me from a standpoint of baseball is America's passport. You mean they're supposed to represent America, you know what I mean? So for them to step to the forefront and say, what you're doing is wrong, you're trying to take people's rights away, so we're going to take our business away because for some reason you're the only people that think this is okay. And granted, there's other states doing it, and hopefully everyone has to get this backlash. But it's crazy to me that we finally came together as just a unit, everyone, and came out and voted, that now they want to make it harder to vote. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and look, when you have to understand, and it's not even a Republican or a Democrat thing, it's like everybody. We're trying to make it easier for everyone to vote. And then there's a group of people that believe, well, these people shouldn't vote, or this needs to be. I understand. But once you start taking things away, and it's just like anything, okay, if that's what you want to do. And if you look at it, the Delta CEO criticized what was going on. And then all of a sudden, the Georgia State Senate tried to pass and take away a tax break that Delta was going to get. So it's funny that, like, people that might complain about this, they looked at the Georgia State Senate was like,
we're doing the same thing. If you don't agree with us, we're taking something away.
If you don't agree with us, we're going to take away this tax break. And then Major League Baseball steps up and is like, well, if you're going to take away something, we can play the takeaway game. And that's where it becomes petty. It becomes petty, and it becomes bad for everyone. The businesses in Georgia, all of the employees, all of the people, like an All-Star game or a Super Bowl or an NBA All-Star game,
revenue.
It generates billions of dollars for the economy.
Revenue.
This is not an Olympics where you have to build a ton of stuff. They use the facilities there, and it just generates money for the income. So all of the people in Georgia, notice what's going on. Like, a lot of money and opportunity was lost for your state because of this situation.
Salute to MLB.
Absolutely. I have a lot of respect for Major League Baseball here. And you just have to look at the photo. This photo, to me, just kind of says, there you go. Photo's worth 1,000 words, right? This is the group of people, older white men, who took away some of the access to voting for people who do not statistically by the numbers. And I understand the law itself doesn't have racial or financial discrimination written into it, but the way that the law is written targets certain communities, and it's very clear by who is signing that which communities are benefiting and which might not be.
And we talk so much about inclusion and diversity, and I understand that those guys are elected officials, so like you can't criticize people that have elected them. But ultimately, if you have 6 individuals of any situation that are all similar, they're not viewing things from different perspectives, different backgrounds, different experiences. And so, yes, you have those individuals that are going to pass this law, but is that a representation of the state of Georgia?
No.
I would think not.
And one last thing, obviously they pointed out the picture too of obviously they're signing underneath the slave plantation, but the fact that picture is still up. Like, why is that picture even up at this point?
I don't know if everybody's heard about that. There's the portrait behind them. The portrait behind them.
It's just saying we do what we want.
Yes. And there you go. And of course, it's under the cloak of, quote, voter fraud, when the actual number of cases of voter fraud have been so tiny compared to other things that do go on in this country that we haven't regulated, whether it's gun deaths, whether it's certain other things. It's just very clear what is happening. And it's clear to the fact that Major League Baseball has pulled its All-Star game. We will have to see what happens, because it's not just the state of Georgia. There are more than 40 states that have legislation trying to make its way through these state legislatures to limit American citizens' access to the ballot box. And it is really impressive that an organization like Major League Baseball stood up and said, sorry, we're not on board. All right, guys, coming up, we're going to talk to De'Aaron Fox. He's joining the show to talk about his red hot month of March, possibly making the play-in tournament, plus how competitive he and his wife are. Hint, he is the one who once ended up with a black eye from a game of pickup they played together. You're going to want to hear this. He's really fun.
Loving basketball. Yeah.
First, though, today is Autism Acceptance Day as part of the NBA family's effort to advance the conversation around acceptance and inclusion for families living with sensory needs. Dr. Michelle Kong, co-founder of Culture City, sat down. That's it?
People sit there like, people sit there like, man, you need to get in the gym and this and this and that and that. And I mean, that's what we do. Like, we end practices making free throws, make a certain amount in a row. After I do that, Rico and I, then we do 2 swishes. If I end up missing one, that adds a swish at the end of the free throw. So, I mean, we did the same thing over and over and over again. And right now, I'm just making them in the game. That's pretty much the only difference.
All right, kids out there, you want to improve yourself at the line, 2 swishes. That's the way to mechanic yourself up. The Kings are hot overall, again, largely thanks to you. But you guys are making a push to jump into that play-in range, 7th through 10th in the West. I assume if you guys made it, it would feel exciting. How does it change the way you manage this season to have that play-in option?
I mean, it's definitely different. Usually you're fighting for that top 8. Obviously, we still want to get there, because if you can get to, if you can be in that top 8, then it gives you a better chance of making the playoffs anyways, by only having to win 1 game rather than having to win 2. So that for sure. And for us, we're just continuing to play and do what we do. Now that we're getting better defensively as a team, that's one of the reasons that we're starting to win games. I mean, we've had a top 10 offense in the league since the beginning of this year. So we know that, that side of the ball, it definitely isn't the problem.
Yeah, and look, there's scoring, but then there's also scoring in the clutch, right? And you in particular, your 4th quarter scoring has really really shot up. How have you been able to elevate your games in those do or die moments?
I'm a night owl, honestly. So guys will tell me it looks like I don't wake up until the second half begins. And I can't say that's what it is, but I don't know. When the 4th quarter starts, it's like, I don't know, man. Basketball I don't have the answers for it, to be honest. When the 4th quarter starts, something just clicks for me, and me attacking and getting to the line and making shots just elevates for some odd reason. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. It's something about the 4th quarter.
Well, look, I'm a fellow night owl. I can appreciate that. Absolutely. And, I mentioned at the top that you came on the show when you were a rookie. You've got a rook this year. You're the old guy now. Tyrese Halliburton, though, he's been playing well, and you guys have taken off as a pair, really, since he was started into the starting lineup. How have you been able to develop that chemistry so quickly? Why is it working with you guys?
It's crazy with you saying the old guy thing. So I'm 23. I'm in my 4th year, and I feel so old. Like Tyrese was born in 2000 or 2001, one of the years, and he said something about Lou Will. This is just because we were talking about Malik. We were talking about Malik, and he was talking about Lou Will, and I kind of looked at him. Me and it was Harrison, Rico, and Tyrese. And I were shooting free throws, and he said something about Lou Will. And like, bro, Lou Will just averaged 20 last year. Like when Lou Will had 40, it was just like, oh, that's Lou Will being Lou Will. And it's like, I was like, wow, this dude was really born in 2000. Like, it's crazy. But I mean, he has such a great feel for the game that it's kind of, he makes it easy. He makes it easy for everybody. And since he's been in the starting lineup, the scoring for myself has risen a lot because he's such a good playmaker. I can play make, but he takes that load off of me. So he makes it just so much easier for all four guys that are in the starting lineup with him. And for him, man, his communication is high level. You know, he just turned 21 years old, but it feels like he's been in the league for a few years.
Yeah, we had him on the show pre-draft, and he was so impressive, just mature. Now, because you are the old guy now, you have to do a little Ricky hazing. Back in December, you and Buddy Hield, you seemed, I'm just going to call it out, you seemed to stick a turnover on Halliburton at the end of a win against the Nuggets. Please explain, was this planned?
Well,
what happened?
That's Buddy. That's always Buddy. Because a lot of the times at the end of games, like I'm like, yo, I'll take it. One, because obviously we all know it's not an actual turnover.
Exactly.
But for me, I'll be like, yo, I'll take the turnover. It's whatever for me. But no, Buddy will throw you the ball and then run to the opposite corner, so you can't give it back to him.
Yep, Ricky hazing move. I'm just saying, we see it. We know what y'all are doing. So, but you know.
I would honestly say Hassan probably hazes him the most. He definitely messes with Tyrese the most out of anybody.
If we see Tyrese on an Instagram having to fetch donuts for someone, we know.
All the time. It could be the best donuts in the world. Hassan's gonna say he got them from the gas station, no matter what.
I want to get back to your training over the summer. I read Ramona Shelburne's story on you. It's got great details about how your fiance, former WNBA player, Reese Caldwell, she trained you this offseason. How hard did she push you?
Oh man, she's so basic. She gets it from her father. Her dad is an AAU guy out of San Antonio. He's basically brought up All-Americans and some of the top college players in the country. So she'll ask him for some workouts. He'll basically give her a list of things that you should do, how many shots you should make from this spot, that spot. And she put her own little twist on it. And she's been through this her whole life. So her being basically my trainer this summer, because we stayed in Sacramento. So I was with the coaches and her in the gym. And it was great, man. She pushes me. The first time we actually played each other one-on-one, she gave me a black eye. She elbowed me in my eye, and then it started getting serious. This was about almost 3 years ago. She elbowed me in my eye. Literally the first time we played one-on-one with each other. And like, it can get intense, but she just wants what's best for me when we were on the court.
And the relationship survived that. So I think that really
Definitely
speaks to your marriage, your future marriage being strong.
That probably made us stronger, honestly, because we knew how competitive we are. Like, we have a ping pong table. We have like a little basketball goal in the house. And then we have a goal that's cemented in the ground outside that we can lower, and we can like dunk on the rim. So we do a lot of things.
Homage created these custom jump throwback shirts featuring me and day one co-host Tracy McGrady. Homage releasing current player NBA Jam duos for all 30 teams. That is awesome. So you can go get a shirt with your guys. And look what we did. We got a shirt with our guys.
No
this
way.
is in production right now.
I'm about to say.
That's serious.
From the guys at Homage. And look at, by the way,
zero chill.
right? 100% in takes, 100% in swag.